Record. All right, everybody, welcome. Thanks for being on the Team Rhino Call live. It's November 22nd. We're getting towards the end of November here, and it's almost Thanksgiving. Lots to be thankful for as Beachbody coaches, of course, right? Everybody's thankful. We got a special guest speaker today, which is going to be awesome. Mr. Pablo Diaz is going to talk about sharing your story. And I don't think I'm going to the only thing I'll say is that we just started our holiday fight back group with Core to Force, and I'm excited about that. If you're in there, make sure you're posting, make sure you're talking, keeping up with your people. And we're also going to post the results tonight for voting on the Power of the Pack group, the Fall Power of the Pack group that we just finished up. So watch for that in that group. Start the voting for the $1,000 of prize money there. I think that's all I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to get right over to having Pablo speak. I met Pablo at the Fit Club Network team leader retreat that just happened here on Coronado, kind of at the same time that Beachbody was doing their leadership retreat. Pablo came out along with Michelle Vitelli and Tammy Nicholson and Todd Midget and who am I missing? Jen Thatcher, Cindy Tremblay, who we already had on this team call, and a bunch of those people from the Fit Club Network. Did I miss anybody? Besides, of course, Dave and Monica.
I don't think so.
I think that was it. Yeah, just a small little leadership retreat. The people who were team leader or above on the leadership ladder. And I had never met Pablo before, and you know, now that I know him on social media and he shares his story all the time, and he actually is a master punter, which is like he's like totally on our team.
Not as good as you.
Totally on our team. Like seriously, the guy is a master. So anyway, Pablo is a husband and a papa to an amazing 3-year-old. He's a lifetime 2-star diamond coach, Success Club All-Star legend for 36 months straight. He was also a cast member in Size. So he was actually in the Size video. So if you think you may have seen him before, it's not because he's Shaun T. It's because he was just behind Shaun T. $500 Daily Beachbody Challenge winner as well, and a team leader on the leadership ladder. So Pablo, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you and take it away, man.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me. And Ryan, if you have any questions at any point, just stop me. I have notes for you guys because I have just so much information that I want to share with you. And I even have been tweaking it a little bit just to add some more insight as to what has been helpful for me in sharing my story on social media. So I have my notes, but feel free to stop me, ask me any questions as we go along. Before I talk to you guys about sharing your story, I wanted to share about my story and how I became a coach. As maybe some of you guys have, I've struggled with my weight most of my adult life. So I tried everything. I've tried eating no carbs. I tried personal trainers. I've tried diet pills. I tried just almost every solution on the market, and nothing stuck for me. And so Beachbody came into my life because everybody wants to look good for their wedding. And so before we got married, my wife purchased Insanity, and she said, I'm going to do Insanity. Now, at this point, I was always fluctuating between like 235 pounds and 300 pounds. So at any point, I was like either on the lower end of that or the higher end of that. I was your typical yo-yo dieter. And at the point where she purchased Insanity, I was on the higher end of that. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to do that. And I will tell you that when she asked to purchase Insanity, I was like, that is way too much money. We're not buying that. But she's like, I found it really cheap from China. I was like, all right, let's get it from China then. So we got it, illegally, just like most of us coaches, and maybe even some of your current rock star coaches or challengers started illegally. So she got it. She started working out with it, and in week 2, she was working out so hard, her sneaker flew off during the workout, and she was like, you know what, I'm done with this. This is crazy. in the meantime, I was back home living with my mom because we both wanted to save money for our wedding. So we're like, well, let's just cut the rent and let's just move back in with our families while we prepare for the big day. So my mom had purchased hip hop abs from the infomercial. And I was like, this is what we got, Mom. Let's do hip hop abs together. We both wanted to look really good for the wedding. And it wasn't my first choice of program, but it certainly wasn't Insanity. And I told her, I was like, you know what? Just look at the TV. Don't look at me. I'll be behind you. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Nobody has to know that I'm doing hip hop abs. All right. We won't advertise this. But, a few months before the wedding, we started a few months, maybe like 2 months before the wedding. And I was able to lose 30 pounds with hip hop abs. And she looked great for her wedding as well, for my wedding as well. So we both felt really good with what we were able to achieve in those couple months. I was like, wow, there is something to this. It really does work. And so I was feeling good at my wedding. And after my wife and I moved in together, we were so happily in love. We went on a lot of dates. We cooked a lot because we were just like, when you're so in love, like for me, love is like food and love are like the same, just about the same. So we like just ate our faces off, anything and everything we wanted. It was just like this honeymoon phase, And it started on the all-inclusive cruise that we went to for our honeymoon. So that was the downward spiral. And within a year, I had gained all of my weight back and then some. So I was about 283 pounds in October of 2011. And I just saw myself creeping up to 300 pounds again. And I was like, I cannot do this anymore. We had started talking about starting a family. And I just knew that I did not want to welcome a baby into this world if I couldn't take care of myself. So I remembered that we had Insanity somewhere, right? So I was like, let's get it and let me do it. So without even thinking, I was like, I just have to commit to it. I just got to go for it. And at almost 300 pounds, I pushed play on that first day, and I thought I was going to die. Like, and for the first 2 weeks, I thought I was going to die, vomit. There were so many different things that I thought was going to happen during this workout, and I don't know how I just kept doing it every day because and my wife probably was sick of me because every day I was literally on my deathbed after that workout. But I kept going, and after 2 weeks, it became easier for me. I didn't think about it, and I completed 3 rounds of Insanity and had lost 77 pounds in the process. So that's how I became a daily Beachbody winner. And during this process, a lot of people were asking me, what was I doing? And I told them I'm doing Insanity at home. Like, you guys should buy it from China. I did, So I was telling everybody where to buy it from. And of course, I wasn't benefiting from it. At this time, I was also, I don't know if you guys have done this, was logging my calories on my Fitness Pal. Because I wasn't really following the Insanity nutrition plan, but I was logging my calories and I was sticking to some kind of plan. And I was also logging my Insanity workouts. So I was connecting with a community of people who were also interested in health and fitness. And I was even connecting with other people who were doing Insanity on my Fitness Pal. And really encouraging each other and keeping each other accountable. Like some guy in the UK, I was totally best friends with because we were both doing Insanity on the same exact day. And it was kind of like what we refer to now as a challenge group, like the support group. And so somebody there was like, you would be a perfect coach. So it was a coach telling me, you'd be great. You're so motivating. You're inspiring. You should consider it. And I was like, no way. I do not want to be a salesperson. That's a pyramid scheme. I'll never be a coach. Don't ask me that again, pretty much. And at the same time, my wife and I were Beachbody lifers. I had explored Les Mills Pump at the time. My wife found her soulmate workout program, which is Turbo Fire. So we were buying stuff still. Now, this time we were legal. We were on beachbody.com at least. But we were lifers, and we were committed to Beachbody because we had seen how much of a transformation we could achieve by just following these programs. And so I was sharing my story, bits and pieces, not the way I do now, but people were noticing a big change in me. And again, this coach approached me and said, you should be a coach. And I was still not interested. Well, it's not until your wife kind of presents the idea that you start to consider it. And so she was following other Beachbody coaches on Instagram. And she was like, these people are drinking this thing called Shakeology. And I was like, okay. Now, my wife has a history of autoimmune disorders, blood disorders, just a lot of complicated things going on in her body that we were also trying to combat with healthy eating and exercise. And so she was like, I think the Shakeology could really be the ticket for me. Like, I really want to try it. So what do husbands ask? How much is it? And when she told me the price, I absolutely said, no way. Like, we have protein powder from Vitamin Shop. And in fact, we have like the family size tub and we bought it for $40. So there's no way we're going to purchase Shakeology. But just like anything, she whittles me down a little bit. And of course, after a couple times asking, I was like, okay, let's try it. And we tried it and we liked it. And during this time, again, people were noticing a change in me. And my sister-in-law, remember, I didn't want to be the salesperson at all because I didn't want to find people. I didn't want to ask people if they wanted to order. That was just not my thing. But my sister-in-law said, hey, I would like to order a program. I want to order Turbo Fire like my wife was doing. And she was like, why don't you become a coach and I'll order it from you? So I was like, score. Like, I got an instant customer. Why wouldn't I become a coach? I'm gonna make a few bucks really quick. So I became a coach in January 2013. The same day I became a coach, she ordered her Turbo Fire base kit because I was not pushing Shakeology. I'm like, yeah, just get anything. I'll just make some money real quick. So she did, and I did, and I was a coach at that time, and I did nothing with my business for months and months and months. I was, and I still am, a TV producer. I traveled a lot. I was pretty much a workaholic. My wife was a high school math teacher and an adjunct professor at the community college. So we worked a lot, and we had like our dream home. There wasn't a big need for Beachbody in our life. So we were like, we don't need this extra thing. Like, we've got it made. We vacation 3 times a year. We were making a 6-figure income. So there really wasn't a why. I didn't have a why for coaching. I just thought it was like a cool thing. So that's why the need wasn't there. But in February of 2013, a month after I became a coach, we found out that my wife was expecting. And so kids are complete game changers. So as you know, her belly was growing. We started thinking about our future and what that looked like. And it didn't look like being a workaholic and not being home and not really seeing each other and being present with each other was not the way we wanted to live our lives. So, so my son was born in October, and I did nothing with my business all the way to October because we were just thinking about how this was going to happen, like with a kid. Like, we didn't know what life was going to be like. But it wasn't until my wife said, you know what, I don't think I want to return to work. And I was like, whoa, we've got to do something here. Like, you know, our whole lives had been dependent on 2 incomes. Like, I liked our lifestyle. So I was like, well, maybe I need to really explore this Beachbody thing. And so we went into the hospital on October 15th when my son was born. They induced her labor. And there I was in the room doing my Emerald training because I was like, I got to get to work. Like, this baby's coming like today. So that November, I became Emerald on November 1st. I signed my 2 coaches, one of which was my wife at the time. And without her knowing, I was just going to work her business just so that I can advance my business. And since November, I hit Success Club of 2013, and I haven't stopped. So I just completely took off. My wife has not returned to work at all. She's fully retired from the classroom. We've had to make a lot of sacrifices. I won't say that we're like rolling in dough. Like, I'm not Scrooge McDuck, like diving into the pile of coins in his vault. We sold our dream home and we downsized to an apartment. Our priorities changed. And so we've decided to live on less so that we can have the life that we want to have. We haven't completely replaced her income, but we have figured out a way to live on my full-time income along with both of our Beachbody incomes to make this happen. And we're both committed to the coaching business and we're building our business. It hasn't been an easy venture for us because we really have had little to no upline support. And so we really had to build from scratch, but we're committed to slow and steady growth. And that's where we are today. So that's how I became a coach, and that's how I am here today talking to you guys. And so that's just a little bit of my story. And so I'm going to share with you guys what has helped me along those 3 years connect to a lot of people through my story. So your most powerful tool as a coach is not the stuff in the online office. It's not like the training. It's not like any of that stuff. It's your story. And so knowing my story and knowing who I'm talking to has really helped me be successful in this business and helps me find my target market and really define my brand, right? Like we all have the same product. We all have the same tools available to us. Like Melanie Mitchell's back office looks just like our back office, right? So the only thing unique, except the volume, I'm sure, and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? But the tools and resources and the training that they give her, they give to us. So no one is you, though. So that's the unique piece of this puzzle and this network marketing opportunity, is that you have something that no one else has. You have your story. And we've all heard the saying that facts tell. You can know every ingredient in Shakeology and all the effects of that, but we know that the thing that people connect to most is the stories that we can tell and our experiences with these products and how our lives have changed. So when people buy a product from you, they're not buying the product, they're buying why you do it. So they can buy the product anywhere. For example, we bought it from China, but what is going to separate you from the other 500,000 coaches in this network is and all of the other network marketing opportunities out there, right? Because everyone's trying to sell their wraps and pills, and you might feel like the market is oversaturated, but we have an opportunity to tell a story that maybe hundreds of thousands of other coaches and distributors can't tell, because we're all unique in that way. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story and kind of nuggets of stories that I tell. So I'll start from the very beginning. My parents divorced when I was 7. My home was filled with domestic violence and drug abuse. It was a really, really painful experience. And I yearned for the love of my father. And to this day, I don't fully still feel accepted and loved by him. And so a lot of my issues with food stemmed from me trying to fill that void. And my mom, as amazing as she was as a single parent, she couldn't fill that void. And I was the honor student. I got all kinds of awards and accolades as a kid, but I still felt like I wasn't good enough. And I felt like there was something wrong with me. And no one knew this, because my mom, before we would leave the house, would always say, like, you're fine. You know, you put on this mask, everything is all right, like, we're good. And so bottling that up for years and years, I think really attributed to the decline of my health. And I became an extremist. Like, I wouldn't eat. I would eliminate all carbs. Like I said, I tried diet pills. I've even wanted weight loss surgery because I was just so desperate for that change. And I was your classic yo-yo dieter. I would lose a lot of weight and gain it all back because I wasn't dealing with the emotional issues and I still battle with emotional eating and binge eating, and I don't hide it. And it is what it is. And all I can say is that I can try my best to manage it with my eating plan and Shakeology and my workouts. But it's about sharing little stories like that and being open and vulnerable about your struggles that makes you human and so much more relatable to others. So I'm going to share with you some do's and don'ts of sharing your story and pepper in some general social media tips that have helped me have a stronger social media presence. So how to approach your story. Whenever you're telling your story, you want to talk about the trial-filled history that you've been through. You want to be brave. The messier the story, the better, because there's the message that comes from the mess. So you have to share that. The more vulnerable you can be, the more powerful your story or your post is going to be, right? Number 2 is talk about how Beachbody changed your life. How did you transition from the old you to the new you? Tell us where you were before you started and where you are now, and talk about that process, that transition. Take people through that. And 3 is talk about your results or the results you're about to get. So I've lost close to 100 pounds, but not everybody has that huge transformation story. So be excited about how it's helped you mentally, physically, emotionally. Talk about the results that you're excited to get. Talk about your goals and what you're looking to achieve, because you could be inspiring people along the way just by what you are looking to achieve, not necessarily what you have achieved or what you're looking to overcome, the struggles you're looking to overcome, and how Beachbody is going to help you do that. So there's great opportunities for us to do that. I'm sure you've all heard of Transformation Tuesday. You should use this as an opportunity to share your story, share your before and your after, or share your work in progress pics. So maybe you're not done your program, but you can show some kind of transformation. So every Transformation Tuesday, you should be sharing that. Throwback Thursday is another great opportunity for you to do that. Throw back to a time where you weren't as happy or as healthy or a time that you felt depressed or lonely or whatever the case, or you felt like you didn't belong and now you belong to a team. There's so many stories that you can tell that are not necessarily about weight loss, but you can take people back to where you were, probably back before Facebook even started, so that, you know, that your story's not hasn't even been out there. So now you can tell people about what happened to you as a kid, or how you deal with food, because and why. And another opportunity for you to post your story is on Sunday. So I always tell my team, and I try to do this as much as I can, is do a coaching opportunity post on Sunday. Why Sunday, especially in the evening? Because everyone is probably really depressed that they have to return to work on Monday. And so we're getting them at a great time. We're talking to them about an opportunity that can give them more time with their family, can give them financial freedom if they work really hard, right? So it's a nice time to share how coaching has changed your life, and how maybe this coaching opportunity could be something that could change their life as well. So those are 3 opportunities I definitely take to share my story. I'll pepper in different parts of my story throughout the week, but those are 3 opportunities that I never miss. And you want to do this consistently. Don't worry about over posting or people getting tired of your story. I know I did when I first started. You can post those posts at different times. So you'll get, like, you know, the people check their Facebook in the morning or their lunch break or nighttime. So you can change the time at which those posts will go up. And just know that only about 15% of your friends are seeing those posts anyway. So don't worry about being redundant. And honestly, redundancy is a good thing. The more people can hear your story and how it changed your life, the more it's like sinking in and they'll be considering it, right? Think about how many times Ryan or whoever your coaches had to ask you to get started, and you had to hear their story and just see what they were doing before you committed to it. So here's a pro tip that I've learned, is that you can go, you know, on your sidebar, the On This Day app, where everybody kind of says, you can see what you posted like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and on the exact day. So people used to do this, and I'm like, that's so dumb. Like, I don't care what they posted 2 or 3 years ago. But now I go back to it every day, because I find that I've had transformation stories that I can reuse, or transformation pictures that I've used before that I can reuse, or content that I've shared that I can reuse. And a lot of times my posts are reused. Like, I'm not coming, like, my story hasn't changed, and I probably said it really awesome a year or 2 ago. So I want to share that. And there's, you know, you can update your before and after picture if you've changed a lot, but know that you can go there for those stories and share those pictures and share those stories on your phone, so that you can share them. And I did that like last Thursday, I think. I just used the exact same wording and the exact same picture, and I got a lot of great feedback. So it was from a year ago. So go to your On This Day app for things like that. Also, you want to be sure that these posts have a call to action, because you don't just want to say, like, look where I was and look at me now. You have to invite people. You got to give them something to do, something to go to. So, like, I always say, message me to learn about my upcoming accountability group and how you can get started on your transformation. Or you can say, message me to explore how coaching can change your life. So you're inviting them to contact you. So you always want to have a call to action. You don't just want to share and not give them an opportunity to reach out to you. One important thing to do is to breadcrumb your story, right? So we've all had a lot of things happen to us in our life, I'm sure. You know, whether it's being a divorce or something traumatic during high school, or a college horror story, or a divorce, or whatever. Like, we're not going to vomit all of that in one story, right? We're going to share different parts of ourselves. So we want to breadcrumb. So maybe today's post is about how I'm battling with emotional eating issues because of my dad not being very present in my life. So maybe that's what my post is about today. And then maybe tomorrow's post is about how, you know, I struggle with, you know, I don't know, something else. Like, you can think of different things that maybe you struggle with. Like, okay, so if divorce is an issue with your transformation, or if divorce has affected the way you're a parent now, and intentionally parenting, and like are committed to your spouse. So it can be anything, like, and you really have to make a list of who you are and who you're talking to be able to do that. So when you make that list, like for my list like says that I'm a father, I'm a Christian, I'm a husband, I love tacos, I'm a runner, and I love like bad jokes or dad jokes or puns. So I take every opportunity to share those things so people know exactly kind of what they're going to get when they come to my page. So I have people sending me puns, just like Ryan. I see people posting on Ryan's page like these bad puns, and I love them. And then people send me like Taco Tuesday memes. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, they know exactly who I am. So you want to, make sure you guys are true to who you are, and just run with that, because people really connect with you in that way when you're just more than one dimensional. So what not to post? You guys probably know this stuff, but I preach this to my team. Like, I don't post any stock photos, no photos of products or Shakeology, your link to your website, photos with no value or no content. Like, you should really be thinking about, what can I teach? What can I preach? Or what am I working on? So think about that when you post your content. And when you go back to your On This Day app, it can be amazing and it can be horrifying at the same time. Like, I saw myself like 2 years ago with like a Shakeology cup, like going like, and that is like, oh, I cringed so hard. I'm like, I can't believe I did that. Or like the holiday sale was like a couple years ago, and I posted my link. I was like, oh, what was I thinking? So don't beat yourself up when you go back to your On This Day app either. But just know that don't do those things, because that just makes you look salesy, and obviously there's no value in that. You're not sharing your story or anything with those posts. So what you should post. My wife and I subscribe to the philosophy of live fit out loud, right? So you're living a healthy lifestyle. You're trying to be as fit as possible, but you want to let people know that you are a coach and you are committed to healthy eating and fitness, but you're not like oversaturating your social media with just that, because that's not who you are. You want people to know that you're a coach, again, without getting all salesy, but you don't want, and you guys should all do this, do a self-check on your social media and say, what are people getting to know about me? Do they just see me as a Beachbody coach? Remember, before we became Beachbody coaches, we were regular people, right? Like, Beachbody does not define us. It has enhanced our life. It adds to who we are, but we need to be sharing who we are, as well as showing them that we are coaches and committed to a healthy lifestyle. So don't just be coach all the time. So it's a balance of living fit out loud, so they know that you're available to them for help without that being all you are. You want to be relatable and not picture perfect. Social media is everyone's highlight reel. So I have to really like hold back sometimes, because I don't want to be perfect. There's so many people who try to be perfect. And I remember first coming onto this business, and the first thing people told me was like, follow the top coaches and do what they do. So I followed the top coaches. I was on their Instagram. I was on their Facebook. Lindsay Matway, Melanie Mitro. There are hardly any other like top coach guys. But I was trying to follow anyone and everyone. And I just cannot relate to a very thin, blonde Lindsay Matway. Like, I don't talk like her. I clearly don't look like her. And her market is not my market. Like, that's just not who I am. So I found that like following the top coaches was really inhibiting me. You can take some inspiration from what they're saying, but really make it your own. So don't try to be picture perfect. I'm not saying that Lindsay Matway is picture perfect. I'm sure she shares different parts of her story, but I just could not relate to that. And so I want you guys to be true to who you are and post with clarity and purpose. What do you want your audience to know about you? What do you want them to take away from your post when you're posting? And you should ask yourself, like, so what? So what? After you type the post, say, so what? What have I taught them? What are they getting to know about me? What are they walking away with? That will really help you. So ask yourself, so what? After you type up your post. You want to talk about who you were when you first started. What fears did you have? What information were you looking for? Think about who you were before you started coaching and what you were looking for. You were maybe looking for help with your nutrition. You're maybe looking for how people could work out with a family because you just didn't have the time. So there were things that you were looking for maybe in other people on social media to find the answer. So think about who you were before you started and post information like that. I always say that objections are perfect for content. So when somebody tells me, I don't want to be on a shake, I like to chew my food, my next post is, hey, I used to think I never wanted to drink a shake. I always wanted to chew my food because I remember feeling the same way, but I still eat. I just have this shake every day that's nutrient dense that replaces my multivitamin. So it's like, think about those fears that you had when you first started and talk about those, because that's exactly what people are thinking. They're going to say, she's talking to me because that's exactly how I feel. Have your posts evoke emotion. This is going to come from the stories you share. So I think it was November 17th. So I looked on this day, on November 17th, and I'm going to talk about how to share with emotion. On November 17th, 2014, 2 years ago, I'd gotten in a bad car accident. And so I posted my wrecked 2004 Honda Civic that I paid for on my own. It was my baby, and wrecked. It wasn't my fault, but I posted a picture and I shared my story, or so I thought. So this is the old post from November 17, 2013. It says, "Goodbye, my Honda Civic. This is the first car I ever bought 10 years ago. Lord, thank you again for your protection today. My wife and I would like to thank everyone for your prayers and thoughtful messages. Time for some family time, our nightly prayers and meds. Good night." So that was my post. Obviously, at the end of the night, I shared that I had been in a car accident on social media. And when I looked at that, I was like, wow, I remember that. But there was so much more to the story that I didn't share. So I re-shared that post and I shared more of my story. And this is how it went. Just on November 17th, I posted it of this year. "I remember this day 2 years ago vividly. It was a rainy day and I had left work early. I called my wife as I left work, using earbuds, hands-free of course, to let her know my mom was in the ER after a bad accident, and I was on my way to the hospital to be with her. As I pulled onto the Schuylkill Expressway, I was rear-ended by a pickup truck at a high speed on the entrance ramp, and pushed into oncoming traffic on the busy highway. I had no idea what happened. I knew for sure I was going to be as good as dead, just bracing myself to be hit a few more times by oncoming cars. My wife Amanda heard the entire thing on the phone with me. I was certain she was going to hear me die that day. Thank God for protecting me. I remember reuniting with my wife and 1-year-old son at the time and just bawling. It's memories like these that make me super thankful for every second of my days." So I wish I had shared that the first time, because there was so much more emotion and information, and just like I shared, like people never knew that my mom had got into a bad car accident and I was on my way to go see her where I was hit. So there's a lot more emotion to that post. So don't be afraid to share and be detailed. Take people on that. Like, they want to know that it was raining. They want to know that it was the Schuylkill Expressway. Like, it's fun to story tell and really like take people on that journey with you, because they're going to connect with you a lot more than just saying like, "Goodbye, my Honda Civic." I made it about my car, not really about like what I went through, what my wife had gone through, what my mom was going through. And so that's what I talk about, posting with emotion. So maybe before you became a coach, your social reality was like fun, right? Now I look at social media like it's my business. It's my reality show. Like, I call it like my party. When I go onto Facebook, I'm mingling, like I'm in a party, I'm working different groups, I'm having different conversations, liking, commenting. So now we use it for business. So we have to treat it like that, and we have to treat it a little bit more differently. So pretty much I bring people on my journey with me of life, of health and fitness, of being a husband, of having a crazy active 3-year-old toddler. So everyone, I feel like, knows my family. Pretty much people know what's going on in my home, like all the time. And I have recently found out that they are tuned in to what I'm doing. And it's pretty cool. So here's an example of how I knew and how you'll know that you're doing your social media right. My son, it was October 13th. October 16th, he swallowed a magnet. So I'm on my way to work, and my wife calls me and says, our son Nehemiah swallowed a magnet. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. I'm like, have him drink water. Like, is it stuck? Like, what do we do here? And I was just like, well, Google it. Well, when something is wrong with you and your health, the last thing you should do is Google it, right? So she calls me back and she's like, oh my God, we need to take him to the ER because this could be really bad, all this stuff. You know, you WebMD what you're doing and you're pretty much dying and you could just have a sinus infection, right? So the magnet now became a really huge issue. So she takes him to the ER. They do like a scan. They're just like, okay, you know, he's fine. Now it's in the lower intestine. We just have to wait for him to pass it. No big deal. If he doesn't pass it on his own, come back in a couple days. Well, that was like on a Thursday or something like that. So we were giving it a few more days. And so I was in church on Sunday, and we had decided that if he didn't pass it on Sunday, after church, we were going back to the ER. So I'm in church with my son, and this woman who I'm friends with on Facebook, but I really haven't like connected with her or spoken to her. She looks at me and she goes, is it out yet? And I was like, excuse me? Like, I didn't even know she was talking to me, and it didn't click what she was talking about. Then she's like looking at my son, and I was like, oh, the magnet. I was like, no, it's not out yet. Not out yet. We're actually headed to the hospital now. So like, I didn't even know this woman was following me, but clearly she was on magnet watch with us. So that's how you know you're doing it right. When people are tuned into your family and they're like, they ask you questions or they talk to you about what's going on in your life, like mid-sentence, like mid-thought, because they're in it with you. And that's probably happened to you already. Like, oh, I saw your post the other day about blah, blah, blah. And they just start talking to you about anything. So it's pretty cool when you're sharing your life with people that way, and they feel like they know you. And that's what you want. You want people to feel like they know you and that they can trust you, and that eventually, maybe when they're ready, you can do business with them, and you can have a lifer in them because you've established this relationship already. Like I said, do a self-check. Check out your timeline every once in a while and see what vibe you're giving off to people. You know, is it way too much fitness? Do people know that you love tacos? Do people know that you're a runner? Do people know that you struggle with certain things? Do people know about your family and what you guys love to do? You also want to check your timeline every once in a while, because people tag you in a lot of things. So let's say like I didn't know Ryan, but I was really considering him being my coach, but like all his page had was like just tons of puns on it. And I'm like, I don't know what this guy's about. So what I do is like a couple days a week, I'll just like hide things from my timeline so it's not so junky, right? So I treat it like my storefront, you know? So even though I appreciate everyone tagging me in their taco memes, I don't want like 17 taco memes on my page. So maybe I'll just leave like a couple of them. I'll just hide them from my timeline. So just look at your timeline and make sure that if people stumble across your page, they do get a clear picture of who you are and that you're not just like a meme freak. So that's that. So how do you...
That was directed at me.
That was totally directed at you. So how do you attract your tribe, like, and your avatar? Post things that they would be interested in. So like my wife likes to go to Target. She likes to use the Cartwheel app to save money. So if she likes to do that, maybe she's posting about how the Target Cartwheel app can save her money on healthy foods. So that's going to attract other Target moms who want to eat healthy and love that app. She recently posted about like what are the best dry shampoos on the market. Clearly, I don't need that, but there's a lot of women who follow her who'll be like, yeah, I would love a dry shampoo, because if you're a busy mom and you're working out every day, you're probably washing your hair once a week like she is. So that's the reality, you know? So obviously women are interested in knowing what's the best dry shampoo on the market. And use hashtags on Instagram that they would be looking for, and use all 30. Instagram lets you use 30 hashtags. So you want to be specific to the hashtags that people who you're interested in are looking for. So you don't want to post like Shakeology or Beachbody or Core de Force unless you're trying to win the contest. Like I'm sure we all are trying to get $1,000. So you don't want to use those, because you're going to attract everyone who is a coach, already has a coach, and I'm sure they've already contacted you or left random comments on your pictures already. So don't use those. So what I try to do is use hashtags of people who are like me. So my son loves the cartoon Paw Patrol. So a lot of times on my workout posts, I'll hashtag Paw Patrol. The post has nothing to do with Paw Patrol, but if somebody's looking for Paw Patrol, like a mom or a dad of a toddler who loves Paw Patrol on Instagram, they're going to see my post, and they're probably going to think I'm weird and I don't belong there, but I might spark some interest because I'm not going to fit. I'm not going to fit, and I don't want to fit. I want to stand out in that hashtag. So you might use Target Mom, so you get Target shoppers or couponers. A lot of times, like, I'll use things that are going on right now. So when the Olympics were going on, I was using Olympics hashtags. Black Friday's coming up, I'll probably use some of that. Then the Nintendo's console system that just came out is the hot gift on the market, so I'm using hashtag Nintendo. Because if you have time to play that Nintendo system, you have 30 minutes to get a workout in. So maybe you'll be motivated to do something. So think of the people, think of that. Think of what's hot right now, what's trending, and use it. You know, Kanye West is trending right now. He's gone mad. So I don't know if you want to go there, but you might find some Kanye West fans who need to get more physically fit. So you want to save those 30 hashtags and use that, save them in the notes section of your phone, and you post them as a separate comment. So I have 25 hashtags that I use on every post, and I leave like 5 new ones. So like if it's Transformation Tuesday, then I'm using Transformation Tuesday. I'm using Taco Tuesday. If it's Hump Day, I'll use that. If it's like Thanksgiving, like you'll save yourself like maybe 5 that you can personalize that day so that you can mix things up and play with the hashtags, because you know what works today and what attracts those people today might not be what attracts those people tomorrow. So you want to always be kind of tweaking those hashtags, but make sure you use all 30. And a personal development book that I recommend is Gary Vaynerchuk's Jab, 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 Right Hook, How to Tell Your Story in a Noisy Social World. Just gives you like really good insight. I don't use all the social media platforms that he talks about, but I learned a lot from all of those platforms that I can implement. I only use Facebook and Instagram. And so like I can use a lot of those things to attract people to help tell my story on those social media platforms. So I'm gonna leave you guys with a little bit of, I always end my quotes with like inspiration. So I found this great quote. It says, the moment you begin sharing your truth, those who need your story begin to look for you. When I first started my health and fitness journey, I didn't see anyone like me on social media. I saw a lot of physique competitors and bodybuilders, and I followed them because that's what was out there. But I didn't see someone who wanted to be a healthy dad or someone who struggled with emotional eating. I didn't see many people who were brave enough to share that story. Everyone just looked like so picture perfect. And it was really hard for me to follow those people because I didn't think I could live up to them. And I soon realized that social media is everyone's highlight reel. And that was boring to me. So I challenge you guys to do the opposite. It should not look like your highlight reel. You should be sharing setbacks and obstacles you're facing or have overcome along with your successes. And it's okay to share successes, but never omit the struggle. Be human, be real, be authentically you, be weird. People love weird because they're just as weird as you, if not weirder. So give people a backstage pass to your life. They want to hear what you've overcome and where you are now, and that you are there to inspire them for change. Those are the people that will follow you, and they will feel like they know you, and they will become your lifers. And so I feel like I know so many people on social media that I've never even met in person or even spoken to on the phone because I've been able to share my story, and they've shared, and in exchange have shared their story with me. One example is I shared the story about my dad and my emotional eating issues. And one woman immediately messaged me and talked about her story about how she is adopted and nobody knows that, and how her food issues stem from her connecting with her biological mother in her teens, and they would cook together. So she wanted to spend as much time with her biological grandmother. Did I say mother? I think I said mother. Her biological grandmother she cooked with. And so she felt like she belonged to that family. She never felt like she belonged to her adoptive family. And so they would cook and they would eat. And that's where her eating issues stemmed from. And immediately she was like, I connected to your story. I know what you're talking about with the relationship with love and food. And so I need to do something. So she purchased a 21-day fixed challenge pack that day and became a coach because I was brave enough to share my story. And so now she's on her journey and knows that she's not alone in that. So be brave and share what makes you you. The worst story you ever told is the story you never told. So that's what I got.
Awesome. Awesome, man. Wow. There was so much information in that, right? Like, covered a whole ton of things. You got Instagram stuff and Facebook stuff and just how to share your story and all kinds of things. One of the things, I just want to highlight one thing that I picked up on, and then we'll ask if anybody has any questions. But one of the things that I've used before in trainings and in talks that I've given is the idea of people putting together a puzzle in their head that is the picture of who you are. You know, if you think about, it's like this, you know, say it's a 500 piece puzzle or something, and the picture when you finish the puzzle is who you are as a person, and they're putting the puzzle pieces in based on what you're sharing on social media, right? Like when you share your little story about how you had emotional eating, they put that puzzle piece onto the picture, and that becomes part of who you are to them, how they see you in that puzzle piece. And you can change those puzzle pieces. Like they might put a piece in the wrong place because you were pissed off one day and you shared something on social media that made them say, oh, he's kind of pissy, you know, like he's not a nice person. You know, that's the puzzle piece I'm putting in today. But you change that because the next interaction they go, oh, that piece didn't go there. That wasn't right, you know, and so that's kind of how I view it. And that goes along with what you're talking about with breadcrumbing. Right. So one day you share the story about emotional eating, the next day and how it stemmed from, you know, from your father. And then the next day or the next week or the next month or the next year, you're sharing about what you're doing with your kid. Right. And how you're being a father. Right. And so you get to put the picture together of how he was raised and how he's changing that for how he's raising his kids, you know, and they put that all together. Everybody has some picture in their mind of who you are. And the more you share, the more you get to control what that picture is instead of them getting to guess what that picture is. That's the way I think about it in my brain, is like, I want them to have the picture of me that's who I think I am, not at least as close to it as I can possibly help them see, rather than what they get to from, you know, random stuff that's not really who I am, if that makes sense. So maybe that helps put together what Pablo was talking about too.
For sure.
How about questions from everybody that's on here live? Anybody have questions for Pablo or anything to say? Nothing? You have to unmute yourself. If anybody's talking, you need to unmute yourself. Nobody? No questions? No questions. All right.
I have a question.
Oh, Tamara, what's up?
What size video are you in?
So, I'm not in the DVD ones. I'm in the ones that are on. I'm in one of the size, the next level ones on Beachbody On Demand. The one with Chili from TLC.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the newer ones.
Thank you.
Awesome. She's gonna go do that workout now, you know.
I was a sweaty mess by the end of it. It's a good one.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I really want to thank you. Totally rocked this call. It's awesome. There's so much information. I'll send you the recording as well. I want to close with one thing. Pablo, you can feel free to stay if you want, but I don't know if you've heard this this post that Carl Deichler did in the 5-Star Wall that has been going around a little bit. I don't know how many people have shared it, but I'm going to read it because it was really encouraging to me, because I don't know how much you guys know about some of the stuff that's going on, but volume is down right now across the network. Sales are slow. You might be feeling that if you're newer. Maybe you're not feeling that because you don't know any different. But there's a lot of fear that goes along with that, right? When you're like, everybody's like this, and then it kind of either levels off or goes down a little bit. Everybody's like, what's going on? And there's been lots of speculation. There's been like, well, is it Beachbody On Demand? You know, like, because we're putting lots of programs in Beachbody On Demand in the base package, or people are unlocking them, and that's like half the volume, right? So a lot of people's volumes are going down because coaches are just unlocking programs. People are speculating, or they're saying, oh no, it's this over here. Oh no, it's that over there. Oh, it's the election. Everybody's too into the election, and they're not, and there's just like, everybody's like, oh crap, people's incomes have gone down and things like that. So I don't know if anybody shared that with you, but Carl got on the wall and he put this post in there, and I'll just kind of read it to you. It's kind of long, but hopefully I can get through it quickly. So he said, we had a CAB call, which CAB is the coach advisory board, which is some of the top coaches are on an advisory board that meets with corporate to talk about this stuff. And he said, we had a CAB call Friday to talk about our latest thinking in terms of better aligning with the way we package and offer Beachbody On Demand with the coaches and their customers. As we were describing concepts which we have been designing with the help of the team, only with the intent to serve customers better and incent coaches to be even more excited by this business opportunity, I broke a sweat. Not an I'm scared type of sweat, but how do I show them that we're on the verge of the greatest single breakthrough in the history of our company, the network, and perhaps fitness even? I could barely let Michael Neiman and Jeff Hill finish a sentence without adding my thoughts from a customer and salesmanship perspective. As I listened to the reasonable questions or objections raised by CAB members, I would listen intently to each point, but could barely let them finish before I had to illuminate on why we're about to not only create and offer a structure that I believe will sell itself, it will be so helpful in supporting Shakeology retention that the upside to both customers and coaches makes me see how much better we can do than we've done with the current challenge pack configuration. I'm so friggin', yes, he used friggin', excited by what's coming. I can't wait to share it. I love to help customers get results, and I also love to create significant wealth. Both of those objectives are served best by focusing positively and stoking my courage and creativity on synthesizing customer needs with a coach's ability to meet them. Fear takes a back seat, even when current results are fear-worthy. Sorry, no time for fear. What we will announce in the next month is going to open doors that will do so much for this network. Doesn't mean we won't have to hustle and drive awareness and behavior change deep into the network. It doesn't mean we won't have to help people work through their fear of change. That's the work. But it does mean that we refuse to sit back and complain about the environment, to point fingers, to go negative, to be toxic, to let fear run the show. We choose hope, creativity, hustle, reinvention, and a fierce commitment to what will be the best for your customers, so they will enthusiastically join your ranks and passionately advocate anyone they know to do the same. Even as I type this, I'm sweating. Maybe I have a gland problem. It kind of sounds like Carl from when he actually talks. Or maybe I'm right, and 2017 will be our breakout year. That's what I believe. When everyone around me said P90X was a dog, I just said, I see it differently, and kept working. When people said insanity will never sell, I saw it differently, and we sold $1 billion of it. When people laughed at us and said you can never sell a shake for $5 a serving, no matter how unique the story is, we saw the opportunity and created a multi-billion-dollar brand. When even my own production team said that they were afraid a 3-week program with containers won't get the kind of results that sell, I saw it differently. And years ago, when advisors suggested the Team Beachbody Network was a good test, but they feared it would never be a good business model, I saw it differently and pressed ahead. And now the network is our primary focus and growth engine. And I'm almost done, by the way. I'm staring at this opportunity with Beachbody On Demand and its potential to build the network with more confidence, excitement, and ambition than anything I have done in my career. Some will scoff. He's got it wrong this time, but I'm pressing forward, and I'm bringing a pack of positive, determined leaders with me. We don't let the future happen to us. We create the future, and we're going to create a brilliant, positive future that you are going to be proud to help author. We have the solution, and it's more exciting than anything we've ever done, and fear is not welcome. Thanks for helping me take bold steps and innovate so we can achieve amazing things. As soon as we have the pieces organized to outline, we will thoroughly present it to you. In the meantime, fight for every sale like lives depend on it. Fight to help every person, and know that we are completely aligned with our desire to succeed together. So that was super encouraging to me to read. He has a history of being right when people tell him that this is not working. You can see that from what he posted. And so people are saying, hey, Beachbody On Demand might be taking down our volume or whatever. And the way Carl sees it, this is going to be the biggest breakthrough for us and for customers at the same time. And I don't know what he's going to announce. Like he's putting together some kind of configuration that's going to be better than challenge packs and is going to help with retention on Shakeology and be better for the customers and be better for us. And so I'm going to trust him that it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see it. I just wanted to share that with you guys because it was encouraging to me. So with that, good night, everyone, and thank you again, Pablo, for being on the call.
Sure.